All right, I just did make it the host.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to share this screen right now. Just give me a couple of minutes. Okay, can everyone see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. Let me just do a quick introduction of myself. Yeah, my name is Saheed Yusuf. I'm a software engineer. I currently work at Paku Limited. I'm basically into backend development, but I do little front end with JavaScript once in a while, little React Native too, not too. I don't really do it much. Yeah, so I think that's it about the introduction. So I will be taking us through arrays and objects in JavaScript as I was told that basically everyone is still like a beginner in JavaScript. Yeah, so I've tried to make this course very easy for beginner to catch up. So let's just make it an interactive session. I mean, all of us can just be sharing. So if I see anything, if you have any view, just let me get your own perspective of it. Then we rub minds together. Yeah, that's fine. And also along the line, we'll be doing some sort of coding as well, so as to make it practical. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's start. Let's start now. So arrays and objects in JavaScript. I believe you all know about, at least you should know what variable is in JavaScript. Variable is basically the same thing in all programming languages. Yeah, it's just a way to hold values in memory. That is, any variable you create, it holds like a space in your computer memory and store whatever value you are storing in it. So you can store maybe integer number or a floating number or a string or even a character. I believe we all know different types of data types that we have in JavaScript. So, but today our main focus will basically be on arrays and objects. So let's just start with objects, then we'll talk about array after. Okay, so so I'm trying to switch to full screen. Okay, so what is an object in JavaScript? Yeah, you know, when you say object, it's just the way you normally, when I say object normally, most time you mean, okay, object is actually non-living thing, like something you can touch or something. So that same thing applies here. Like that's the main structure of, that's the idea of the object there as well. So you can see JavaScript is designed on a simple object-based model, and that is just the fact. So, you know, an object definitely has properties. For instance, if I show you a car now, you know the properties of a car, right? It has tires or four wheels, can have steering, all that parts, understand? So that actually is an object. So you can easily represent car as well in JavaScript using its attributes and methods. That is what it can do. So just like other programming languages, objects in JavaScript can be compared to real-life objects. Just as I explained, using car as an example. So basically in JavaScript, an object is a collection of attributes or properties defined as a key value pair, like a dictionary. So let me explain. When I say dictionary, we all know what dictionary is. I mean, you get a word, or you have the word already, then you search into your dictionary, then you have the meaning of that value. So it's like saying that what they are looking for is the key, because that's what you definitely use to search for the meaning in your dictionary. And then the meaning is actually the value in this case. So same thing applies to an object as well. Object is basically a collection of attributes or properties. For instance, let's use the same car as our object in this JavaScript. You can say car. Yeah, the attributes of car. It has wheels. It has steering. Can you give me other properties of a car? Anyone?
That's a gear.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, like that. Let's just make it very interactive. So that's what the attribute is basically like. So saying so each property has a key, name, and a value. You get so for instance, part of the attributes of a car could be color. So in this case, if we are representing a car as a JavaScript object, we can say color is a key. Then the value is it could be green, blue, or any other color. So that's the representation of car as an object in JavaScript. So these are actually an example of JavaScript object. So you can see it's assigned to a variable named car. Then here we have three properties here: model, plate number, and manufacture date. You can see the model is Toyota. So in this case, model is the key and Toyota is the value. In this case, plate number is the key and XXS is 54XS is the plate number. Same thing as the manufacture date, these are key, and this date is the value. I think we've gone through this before. Okay, so object creation in JavaScript. So let's just talk about how we can create objects in JavaScript. There are ways to create objects in JavaScript, and these are the first one is using object literal. We can use new keyword by just instantiating, or we can use object constructor. So please let me know if I'm moving too fast. I'm fast by default, so you can always call my attention back. So let's talk about using object literal. So basically, when we say literal is just what we mean basically is just like using a single statement. So object literal is the easiest and simplest way of creating objects in JavaScript. This can be achieved with just a statement, just like the way we define this car object here. You can see I just open the curly braces. Then I have my key and my value for this car. Same thing for creating this animal object as well. So this is the simplest and the easiest way to create. Just your curly bracket there. You are good. Just set your key and your value there. Do you get this?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's just be so as we are just maybe we should just be let's just be doing little things along the line here. Okay, so I'm trying to create a sample here. For instance, where I have car, so I can have hold on please, I'm trying to adjust the screen. Okay, so I can define this object to be variable part of view. Then I have my key, and see I have model. I can call it, let's say, under. Then I can have let's say manufactured date. I have 2009. So this is actually an object in JavaScript. So I can equally print it out and say, then to print the object for me. So this is an object. Just the way I define it, that's the way I have it here as well. Okay, so let's move to the. So we've seen this animal variables. So then also one more thing is that an object, a key can actually have, so the way JavaScript is basically heterogeneous. That is, you can, so if you have a particular if you have a particular object, you can always, the key can have any sort of variables, any sort of data type that you wish to append to it. For instance, if you look at this, the car object that we created here, you can see the mode. We have Toyota. This Toyota is actually a string. Plate number, this is a string as well. Likewise, manufacture date, which is also a string. Coming down here, I have variable animal. This is a key, this is a value. This is actually a Boolean data type. False as well is a Boolean data type. So it doesn't matter. In fact, you can create a key in your object and still assign and still make the value to also be an object. So you can just write it the way you want it. That's one of the good things about JavaScript, flexibility. You can easily reassign anything you like to anything, irrespective of the data type it has before. Okay, so let's look at object creation using the new keyword. So also we can create JavaScript objects using a new keyword. That is, so there's so this object is a class in JavaScript. You can easily use it to instantiate an object. So instead of having that curly braces that we had initially, you can just say variable animal is equal to new object. Then you can start assigning other variables or other keys and values that you want to assign. For instance, here, just like the way we created the animal object using the literal here, here we just open the curly braces, then we typed everything there. But here it is different. What we did here is to instantiate. When I say instantiate, I mean creating an instance of something. So I just created an instance of an object here. This object is actually a keyword in JavaScript. It's like a class in JavaScript. So you can use it to instantiate an object. So in this case, you are instantiating this animal as an object. So here we have new object. That is, our animal is an object now. But meanwhile, so the main difference here, when we created with literal, we assigned everything on a single line. But in this case, you can't do everything on a single line. You have to start putting in the key, and you have to start setting the key and the value one after the other. So here we have animal. So when you want to set the keys or the attributes and the values here, what you do is you just use a dot. You can use the dot notation, or you make use of array-like symbol to add key or to add properties to your object. You still get there. So here, what I'm saying here is omnivorous. This is a property of animal. So I'm adding it to this animal object, to this dot. So if I say animal dot is omnivorous is equal to true, animal dot as on is equal to false. What it means is I'm assigning, or I'm saying this animal object should have a key which is omnivorous with value true, and it should also have a key which is as on with value false. So the same way, the same output that we got while we execute this code is the same thing we have with the other one too. So let me just create a different variable here. Let's say variable animal is equal to new object. Then I can see the animal dot as on equal to false. Animal dot errors is equal to true. Let me just log it as well. Also, so as you can see, we have it the same way as well. So this is another way to create an object in JavaScript, but it won't be good enough if you know the keys and the values that you want to really insert into your object. It's not good for you to start creating a new object anymore. So in this case is actually preferable when you don't really know the kind of you don't have the set of keys and values that you want to set for your object. But in the case where you know what you want to set already, then you don't have to go with this route. I mean, it's not really needed. But just take note of that as well. You might come across it anywhere. Then let's move to the next thing, which is object creation using new keyword. Oh, we've done this, sorry. So object creation using object.create. So this is a way to actually instantiate, like if you have an already existing object before, and you still want to create an object from that. just like you want to use something as a template. So you can make use of object.create as well. If you look at this example, we have a car here already, which has been declared already. So you can just say, so we have this car with model, we have a default model for it, then it has a function. I mean, it has a key with a function value. So in the last time I said the values that you store in your key, they are not actually, you can store any sort of thing there. You can store a function inside it. It can be a string, it could be even an object, it could be an array or any other thing you feel like storing there. So if you look at this particular one, we have a print model, which is a key. Then the value we have here, this is not an actual value, but this is just basically a function. That is, anytime you do a dot print model on this object, what you expect it to do is actually to log something for you. So let's see how this work here. Okay, we already have it. So let me instantiate a new object from this. So let's say variable car2 is equal to object.create. So sorry, I've not set what I wanted to set. So I can say class2 dot manufacture date and set anything I want to put there. I can say it is 1999. Let's say so yeah, this is equal to number. So this is just a way. Here, what we are doing is just creating an object instance from this car. Okay, but creating the instance doesn't mean if you actually create anything, it won't really store any data there for you. But it's just saying, okay, I've created an object instance for you, but I will still be empty, like no key, no value. You can then from your own side add the key and the value you like to it. That's why I should log this here. See the first log I have here, it shows this is an object, but it's actually empty because I've not added anything. Not until I added these two lines, that's when after logging it, I now have what I stored inside it here. So those are some of the ways to create an object in JavaScript. So also objects can be created from a constructor. Constructor is used to instantiate an object. So basically, a constructor can be seen as.
Can you hear me, please?
What did it? Yeah, I can hear you.
Please, the last one you just explained now, using the object to create.
Okay, yeah.
Please, can you explain it again?
Okay, so what object.create does is just to create an instance for you. Basically saying the variable you're assigning it to is actually an object. Let me go back to display code. So let's do this. Let's just say, let me clean this up. Let's clean this up. And let me comment this. Okay. So what I'm saying is you can use this object.create to just instantiate an object. That is to say, you are creating a variable. This car2 will now be a variable of an object, but there won't be any value stored in it. It's coming from this car. So what it's saying is it should replicate what you have in this car, not really replicate because it's not copying the value out for you, but it should just make this car2 an object. That's why if I should log, are you seeing this line console.log car2? If you see what it is outputting here, it is outputting an object, but it does not have any property because we do not set anything there at all. But by default, you can see here, this is actually an object. So anywhere you see curly bracket, that what it means is this is actually an object in JavaScript. Do you get?
Yes. I mean the car.
The car.
Inside. inside the
Okay, so what is, okay, yeah, I get your point. So what is creating is just saying you should create it based on the data type of this car. This car actually is an object, but we have things stored in it already. But it's not actually picking everything we have inside the car. If you just use the same structure of the car for this variable car two, that's what it's just doing. It's not picking what you have inside car two. That's why when I log this car two, you can see you don't have the model property and the manufacturer date property there by default. No, you won't. Do you get my point?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So not until you assign something to it before you can see anything inside it. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so objects can be created from a constructor. Like I said, constructor is just, so if you are familiar with any OOP language, then you should have come across constructor before. So it's just a way to instantiate an object from a class. So the way constructors are defined are different based on the programming language. For instance, if it is a programming language like Java, you don't necessarily have to create anything like this. What you use to create constructor in Java is basically the class name itself. But in JavaScript, it is different. You need this. You have to set this in your class to create the constructor. Then you can make your constructor depends on any number of parameters that you wish to have. So let's just create a sample class here to demonstrate. But do we all understand the concept of a class? Let me even start from that. Do you understand the concept of a class? Can anybody explain what a class is in JavaScript or in maybe any programming language you've used before? Anyone?
No, I don't understand it. Please come again. The concept of the class.
Okay, I was asking if anyone can explain what a class is. Maybe it might not be in JavaScript, maybe any programming language that you have used before. Anyone?
I've not used any programming language before. JavaScript is my first.
Oh, okay, no problem. So basically, a class is just like a blueprint for creating an object. When I say blueprint, it means what the object creation actually relies on. So for instance, if you have a class and the class has properties like, let's say, name, color, age, and all. So if you are creating an instance from that class, you are creating an object from that class, what it means is that you are instantiating that class, and when you are instantiating the class, it means the properties that you have in that class, you will have it by the time you finish instantiating that object itself. Let's have an example here. So I can say class, let's call it students. Then in JavaScript, you need constructor before you can be able to actually instantiate. So the attributes of students can be name, age, let's just put maybe matric number, you get. Then, so the essence of this constructor, what this constructor will do for you is basically to set whatever you are passing when you are passing the object to whatever attributes you have. For instance, if I have this name, if I should say my constructor should be this way. So I'm done with this class. This is a class now. But now I want to create an object from this class. Like I said earlier, a class is just a blueprint for creating an object. So it means we can create an object from this student class. So I can equally say it's a variable student, or let's say first student. Then you can see it's already suggesting the parameter that I have there, which is name, age, and matric number. It's a name can take any parameter. Don't mind this IntelliSense are seeing this because this is know the environment, but still the same thing like just getting your normal JavaScript has no difference at all. So it's expecting one. So let's say the name is Olamide, then the age, let's say 56, matric number, say BCH 02, like this. So what it means is I've instantiated this, I've created this object first student using this class student based on this constructor. So I can equally say, let me just log the object. So you see what we have there. So I can equally say first student. So as you can see, we have name, age, matric number, which are the attributes or properties that we have in this student class. So what it does is just basically when we say new student, what it does is just to create, just to call the constructor. So it's calling this constructor for us. Then because what we have in our constructor is saying set name to be what I pass in the first as the first argument, set age to be what I pass in the second argument, then set matric number to be what I pass in the third argument. But I hope you know this naming convention does not matter in any way. So for instance, let me try to swap them. Let me have name here. As you can see here, I have name, but it's actually putting my age here. So what I'm saying in essence is that naming convention doesn't really, your naming does not really matter, but it's good to have a good naming convention because imagine when I'm supposed to pass here, I do this dot age is equal to age, whereas what I'm passing as my age here, which is the first parameter, is actually a name. So this doesn't make any sense. That's why it's very good when you have a good naming convention. So the advantage of good naming convention is it will make someone to even understand your code better without having to be racking his or her brain. Imagine let's say I just call this XYZ. I name this one as well XYZ, XYZ. I name the class, let's say Z. You know, if you are reading the code, you won't even understand what it means. So also ensure to try, always ensure you have a good naming convention. That is, when someone just see the name of your class or your variable names, they know what this thing is actually storing before having to now look into the logic that you have already. But a good naming convention speaks a lot about your code and how good of a developer you can be. Do you understand this creation? Creating an object using a constructor. Do you all understand this? If you have any question, please let me know.
Yeah, so sorry. Based on what you explained, you are saying like giving the example you just said, like the class, if you want to use classes, maybe like you want to set the keys to a particular you want to name a particular key, then you now want to change it. Maybe like you want to store like a data of maybe from the example you used data of students, then you can use something like this. And also I don't understand the concept of this.
Okay, so good. So what this means is what this means is that this stuff we are creating, like for example, this dot name, what it means is that this name belongs to this student class. As you can see here, they both have the same variable name, you understand? Like I have this dot name, I have name. So with this, even if you have the same variable name, maybe you pass a variable as an argument, or you pass the data as an argument, and they have the same variable name with what your class already has. This is a way you can use to differentiate between the two. So what it means here is that this dot name, once it says this, it means this one is for the class. You get? Then this one you just pass is actually for is actually the parameter you passed. That's just the main difference. Anywhere you see this, it means this particular variable is for this class, and it's not that it was passed as any parameter at all. You understand? You can have different, let's say, let me change this variable to std name. You can call this one std age. Then you can call this one STD matric number. Do you understand? So for instance, when I say this dot age is equal to age, so it's telling me that age is not defined at all because I don't have anything like that. Before getting to age, you have said name save. I'm trying to change this one to name. Okay. So here it's saying age is not defined at all because I didn't specify anything like age in these parameters that I have. And I'm just trying to like do an assignment statement here. Do you get? So the essence of this is to differentiate or to tell you that this particular variable belongs to the class and is different from the other one. That's just it. Nothing much at all. Let me just change this to STDH. Let me change this to STD metric number. Yeah. Any question?
So if I get you now, this only works for the scope, like in student.
Yeah, exactly. This is scope. Yeah, saying this particular variable that you append or that you prepend the variable name with belongs to the class and it comes in as a parameter at all. No, initially the parameter name I have was the same. They have the same name with the class properties. So that's the way to differentiate and say, oh, I'm referring to the class properties here and not the parameter that was passed. That's just it. So as you can see, one of the difference between making use of new objects to create your class, or I mean to place your object, and making use of class instantiation is clear. If you are using a new object, it means you don't actually know the variables or you don't know the properties of what you want to deal with. But if you are using a constructor, it means that you already have the properties already. For instance, if you are working on, let's say you are working on something like a library application where you need to do, you cannot, when you're building a library application, you have to consider stuff like students, you consider stuff like, let's say books, then you now have the books attributes. So a book can be created as a class as well. You can have a book and say, as a class book, you have a constructor as well. Then part of the attributes a book can have maybe title, author, I think they used to have this serial number, YSBN or something. Yeah. Then you can see this title, this is equal to this or that is equal to that. Okay. So that's just a way to really want, I want to be creating those things by just passing arguments. So for instance, I can as well create a constructor with just two parameters as well. I can just say name and age. Say this dot name, this dot age is equal to age. And just duplicate this. So do. Oh shit. Apparently, I thought this is Java. JavaScript does not allow you to create multiple constructor. So this one will not work. I mean, I cannot have, so I can only have just one constructor. So I can clean that and comment this one out. You get. So you can have, based on the number of attributes you have in your class, you can declare your constructor like that. For programming language like Java, they allow you to have constructor based on any number of attributes you like. You can create a constructor with 10 parameters, 3 parameters, anyhow you want it. So that if I only have 2 particular properties I know, I can create an object with just those two. If I know of 10, I put it in to set a 10 for me. Any other question before we proceed? Can I proceed?
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm too, sir.
So this means you cannot have more than one constructor that class.
Yeah, exactly. For JavaScript, but in a programming language like Java, you can have as many constructors as possible. I actually thought you can have more than one as well, but when I tried to create more than one here, it didn't allow it. So definitely you can't have more than one here. The programming language has its own pattern, syntax, and all. So can we proceed now? Okay, so let's move to the next one. Okay, which is just accessing object properties. That is, when you have your object, how do you access a particular element? For instance, if you have a car object, how can you just say, maybe you want to just print the model, or you want to print the manufacture date, or the number of wheels, and all. So there are two ways to do that. You can do that with the dot notation, which is just putting dots at the back of the object, then you put the properties name, or using the array-like notation. Then just so I think we are okay. We have classes that we can use already as sample. So for instance, after creating this second student object, I can decide to just output or to just log the age only. So I can say console.log second student age is, then second student dot age. Then I have it a second student age is 56. So this is making use of the dot notation. Let me make use of the array-like notation. Sorry, this is as well a dot notation, but I want to actually change it from dot to you get. So this is the dot notation. I can use dot age or dot name to access the attribute of this second student, which is why you are seeing second student age is 56 here. Then coming down here, I try to use the array-like way to access the name, which is I have second student, then I have this square bracket, then I have the attribute name here, which is name. Then I have second student name is Kolade. Do you understand this? Okay, we can proceed. Do you any question before we proceed? Okay, the absence of question, we can just proceed then. Okay. So this is just what I just showed you. It's called object properties can be accessed with dot notation. For instance, if you have a variable employee and you have a name Olamide age 45, you can do console.log employee name. This means the output for this will be Olamide Olakunle. Then with array-like notation, sorry, this should be like this, then property name. Yeah. So for array-like, we can have it this way with just this code. Then you put the property name there. So like this case, you have console.log employee, then you have this in brackets. If it is a want to access, you can just put age here. Any question? Okay, let's proceed.
For me, no.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
My question is, it is not in this not in this dot notation. I think that's
Okay.
constructor. I wanted to ask, is it possible you call the class directly, like you use console log class,
No, you
instead of
cannot call the
having to
class.
navigate?
No, you cannot call the
Okay.
class directly unless you use. I think JavaScript has this prototype that you can as well use to instantiate the class. There's a prototype keyword in JavaScript that you can use to instantiate the class. But directly, like the class, no, you can't. You really can't do from the class at all. You can't do directly
You
from the
have to
class.
you have to do it simple.
Yes, exactly. But I don't know if by that JavaScript does not have a way to declare static methods or static variables. Like language like Java, you can actually just call without instantiating that class. But what it means is you would have made the method or the variable that you want to access directly using the class name, you would have made it static, which means it should just be accessible via the class and not the instantiation of the class. But let's not go into that. We are here for JavaScript. Okay, so let's proceed. Then the same way we are accessing the JavaScript object is the same way we can also set, that is, we can use the array-like notation, or we can as well use the dot notation. What I mean is, let's say you already define your object already. For instance, we have our second object here. You know what it is, which is just a model, and model is that manufactured date is what we set already, and for Canada. So we can decide to set that again. Let's just log that. Then also here, so I can reassign the model. Let's say I want to change the model. So let's say Toyota. I can say car dot model to be equal to Toyota. I can change the manufacturer date as well. In this case, I want to use array-like notation. So I can just, let me just copy this. Manufacturer date to be equal to 1999 0308. Then I can log it again. Exactly. So if you look at this properly, let's look at it from line 1. We defined our car variable. We assigned, created two properties, model and manufacturer date. We assigned under and 2000 so as a manufacturer date to this car object. Then here we log it, which is what we have here as the output here. We have model and we have manufacturer date. Then after that line, I try to change the value. So I said you can change the value of, or you can set the property of an object using either the dot notation or using the array-like notation. So here I'm using the dot notation here. As you can see, car.model to be equal to Toyota. Then here, I can as well do car.manufacture date, then equals to whatever I want to set it to. But I decide to use array-like notation here. So I have this square brackets, then you have the property name inside. In quotes, it could be single quotes, it could be double quotes. Anyone works in JavaScript. Okay. Then you say equals this. Then when I output the same car again, you can see we have different. So it's having the value that I just set here and here now, which is Toyota and 1999. I think this is very straightforward. In absence of no question, you can just proceed. So I have the example here as well. Then okay, so we have so just the way you are setting or you are adding attributes to an object, you can as well delete the attributes that you set already using the delete keyword. For instance, let's go back to this. Let's delete. Let's be dealing with this car for now. So I can have. So let's say I want to delete the model. I can say delete car dot model. That's the delete keyword. Let me console. Let me just log it again. console.log car. So as you can see, initially we have two properties in the car object before. But after doing delete car.model, what I'm saying here is that for this car object, I want to delete the property model. After deleting, you can see here, then after this line, I logged the car object, and what I have here is just manufacture date, which means it has deleted that. I can as well delete the manufacture date, as you can see. So you can delete using the dot notation or the highlight notation. And see the log here, it means I don't have anything inside it. This zero is just telling me that there's zero property or attributes in that variable. I think we are good. Please let me know if you have any question. Okay. Subject keys. We all know what keys are in the object. They are basically the property name. For instance, when we created this car object, this is a key, and this is also a key. You can revert to it as properties, and revert to it as attributes, anyone that you wish to call it. So object keys in JavaScript. So sometimes they might be neat. For instance, let's say you have an object that's been defined by someone, and you want to get all the properties that the person has. For instance, let's say you buy a car.
Excuse me, please.
Okay, yeah, go on.
You
Please.
seems to have skipped the slide 14.
Slide 14. Oh, sorry. Thanks for calling my attention to this. Thanks. Okay, so we have if property exists. That is, let's say you have an object and you don't know the properties that are actually in that object. Maybe you are trying to do a guess, or you want to confirm if this property actually exists. Then you can make use of the in to check. So you have the property name. That's the way you have it, a property name in. Then you have your object. Let's check that based on what we have here. So before we delete this car, before we delete the object here, I can say the property name here. Let's say model. I can say model in car. Let me just log it so we can see the output. So it's expected to return a Boolean value for us, which is either true or false. So as you can see here, I said console.log model in car. That is, what I'm saying is, does this model attribute or properties or key, does it exist in this object car? Then we have true because it exists. We've actually not deleted it. But let's say I just put, let's say I put models, then we have false because we don't have any attributes that is models in this car, in this object car. You understand? So likewise, so after even deleting, I can come here and say manufacture dates in car. So you have true false. What I'm saying there is, before I delete the manufacture date key or the attribute or the property, I did console.log manufacture date in car. That is, does manufacture date exist in this car object? Then I have my true as the value. Then here, after this line, I said delete car.model, delete the manufacture date from the car object. Then I asked again, is manufacture date, does manufacture date exist in object car? Then I have false, which is no, because I deleted it. I think that's clear now. Just coming back when you have any question. Okay, so as I was saying that we have object keys in JavaScript. So the function of object.keys basically is for you to get all the attributes that you have in a particular object, so that you don't really have to, instead of you having to do iteration. So you can get the keys by iterating, or you can decide to get the key basically using, you can get it as an array, basically. So JavaScript has simplified it for you already. You don't have to be doing iteration before you get the keys that you have in your object. So there's this method that we can use. There's a keys method in object that we can use, which is object.keys. Then just put in your object name, and that will retrieve all the keys for you. For instance, let's look at, okay, let's make use of our students. So here we created a student object already, which has basically two attributes, which are name and age. So let's say, or let's assume I don't know the keys that I have, or I don't know the properties that have been set for this student object before. I can just do, let me create a variable and say keys to be equal to object dot keys, and I have the name there, which is second student.
Sorry, please, can you just comment out the code that you're not using?
Okay, sorry. I did the, okay, I think, let me just create a new file here. So I should be able to create a new file. I don't want to, I want to be referencing some of these again. That's fine, no problem. We can delete them. Forget that's on the need. You can always rewrite it. Okay, yeah. So I want to use this example to explain how to get the keys from a particular object. So for instance, just like the class we've created before, this is a student class with two attributes, name and age. We instantiated it here. Let me just delete this and just console log second student here. Okay. Yeah. So what this one is about is this is a class. I instantiated the class here using the constructor, which is new student, and I passed in the name Colade, and I passed the variable. I passed in the age 56. Then I just logged it here, which is all we have here. Then I said, for instance, let's say I don't know the keys or the properties of a particular, of any student at all. Then I want to get it from this variable. I can easily make use of object.keys method to get that. So I created a variable here, which is keys variable. Then I say object.keys, then I put in the variable in here. That is the object. So what this does is it gets all the keys, of this object second student for me as an array. That's all. Then I logged it in. Then I have name and age. So if I add any other attributes here, let's say I say this dot matric number to let's say default. Yeah. So here as well, you can see console.log keys has added, here we have three attributes, which means we have name, age, and matric number. So you can use this one to even for the object that you've created using the literal, that is just using curly braces to set the properties. You can as well use it to get the keys as well. So that's the function of object.keys. Do you understand this?
Your keys are, first of all, your keys are in arrays.
Yeah, exactly. Keys are in arrays. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what it returns. So you can actually, because we've not gotten to array, sorry, we still get to array. We get to array very soon. We talked about that. But we have like 1 hour left. I think we need to like speed up or something. Okay, so let's just proceed. Okay, so let's just look at the iteration as well. So you can actually iterate as well. I mean, login, you may want to like log each of the keys actually. So you can do a sort of iteration as well. You can just have for key or anything you like. You can name it as a property. in, then your object name, then you can do console.log. As you can see as well, this is a way to get all your keys as well. This is just an iteration. The only difference between this and this is that with using this object of keys, it will return it for you as an array. But here, returning your iteration, what it means is you have the power to do whatever you want to do with the key as you are iterating. So here, what it's doing is we say for property in a second student. You know what for is used for? For is used basically for iteration. For, while, do, all those statements, all those keywords, they are basically for iteration. So what is saying here is property in second student. That is, for each property that we have in second student, is giving you the is giving you the property in an iteration or in an iterative manner. So it's what to do here is to first give you the first property. The first time it is iterating, which is just name. Then I say console.log properties, which will log the properties will log the first property, which is name. Iterate again, it will log age. Iterate again, then it will log matric number. So I can decide I want to just print all the elements of the array in an iterative manner as well. So I can just have something like this second student dot, oh sorry, second student, then property. Yeah, exactly. So you can have it this way as well. This is if you want to print all the values that you have in your object one after the other. So what this one is doing, because this line, what is this property, what it will hold is actually the key. Then don't forget to say you can output or you can access the elements or a particular property from your object using this array-like notation. So I just have console.log, the second student, then the property. And don't forget to start picking the property one after the other. That is to pick name first. That's why it logged what we pass as color day here. Then it picked the second one. The second property is age. Then second of age, which is what we pass as 56. It logged 56. Then it picked the third one, which is matric number. We didn't set any value for matric number, but inside the constructor, we added a default value, which is default. Then it will print default here. Understood? Please let me know if you have any question, so we can quickly proceed. Okay, I think there's no question. Good. Okay, so let's talk about array now. So array in JavaScript. Basically, array is a data structure. Do we know what data structure is? So data structure is basically a way of organizing our data. That is how we want to structure our data and all. So in JavaScript, I know we have some other JavaScript, some other data structure you can use, like you have sets, you have map, yeah, we have some other ones like that. So same thing as other programming languages. Other programming languages to have their data structure to get how they can collect a particular kind of data. So those data structure enables them to basically get or to arrange their data in a good format. For instance, if I give you a data that is like in form of tree that has branches, you cannot store it in anything like array or a list. You have to use array or a data structure that is very close to something like a binary tree or a tree. So programming languages have data structures to cater for all those stuff. Java has trees, it has set, list, map, or like that. JavaScript as well has its own. So but today we're just focusing on an array. So when do you think you can make use of an array? You only need an array when you want to store, you want a variable to hold more than one value for you. For instance, let's say you want to hold all the marks of students in a class inside a particular variable. That's a good instance, or that's a good example when you can make use of an array. Or you want to hold the names of all the students in your class in one variable, then you can make use of an array. So in some programming languages, array are meant to be static, like when you declare them, you specify the actual size. But Fortunately, in JavaScript, you don't really have to specify the size of the array. The array can grow along the line as you wish. So here I say array is used to store multiple values in a variable. This is an instance. I created an array and I stored Olamide, Bolanle, Ishola in it. So what it means is that this variable ARR has these 3 values stored in it. So what array does basically is to create a contiguous memory and store all these values in for you, so you can easily access them. So to create or to access, sorry, let me just go with the slide. So JavaScript array can be created in 2 ways. Let's look at the ways to create an array. So just like the way we can create objects using literal, we can as well create array using literal. That is just making use of a statement. Put the variable, then you set whatever you want to set into the array at that point in time. As you can see here, say for instance, variable my array, we have footer there, we have vanilla, then photo. Also, you can make use of the new keyword to create an array. Just the way we create, just the way we created objects using new object as well. You can create an array using the new array keyword as well. Okay, so let's just I don't want to. How many slides do we have more? We still have more to go. Okay, but let's just quickly do something practical. Okay, I think we're doing this. So let's just create a sample array. So first array. So down to Shola Bimbo. So this is an array. You can log it as well. So first array. So as you can see, these 3 values are actually stored in just one variable. Also, you can create your array using the new array keyword. Then it puts in whatever value you want to set there. Let's say this is for line. So okay. So yeah. So as you can see, this first array has 3 values. Second array as well has 3 values. You can extend this and you can add more values to them as you like. We look at the methods you can use to add more value to an array and perform some other interesting operations on the array. Okay, so then we talk about accessing array elements, just the way you can access your JavaScript, the elements in your JavaScript object. You need to be able to access what is stored in an array as well. I mean, what's the essence of storing something in a variable when you don't need them? So definitely you need a way to access. So the way you access JavaScript, the elements in array is different from the way you access them in object. So in array, you access with index, and the indexing starts from 0. It's just like saying positioning. For instance, let's say we have let's say we have 3 seats. Then the first seat, someone is sitting down there. The second seat, someone is sitting down there. The third seat, someone is sitting down there. You get. So if you want to like you can say we would have named, or we could have named the seats, like 1, 2, 3. So where the first person is sitting, we know the position already. Where the second person is sitting, we know the position already. Where the third person is sitting, we know the position already. So easily say, okay, so if you don't know the name of the person, you can say the person sitting on the 3rd floor should just come to you. Let's say you want to call the person. I don't know the person name. You can just say the person sitting on the 3rd seat should please come forward. So that's just positioning. So, but the way we position things in real life is a bit different from array. I mean, for array, the positioning actually starts from 0. So it is basically called indexing. So the indexing starts from 0. That is, if you have an array of 5 elements, What it means is that the positioning starts from 0 and ends at 4. So if you have n elements in an array, the highest index or the last index for that array will be n minus 1. And the first element in the array will be at position 0. So don't forget that. If you forget that, that means you want to be having array index exception. So here we say array element can be accessed using index. Array index ranges from 0 to n minus 1, which is what I had explained. So where 0 is the position of the first element, n minus 1 is the position of the last element, and n is the number of elements stored in the array. Then I have an instance here, I have a variable, and I say footer is the first element, and the index is 0. So the index is 0 in the sense that it's the first element here, then which is 1 minus 1, because the positioning starts from 0. Then for photo, the indexing of photo is 2, that is 0, 1, 2, which is basically n minus 1, which is 3 minus 1 that we have here. So let's write it to put this. Okay. So let's say we want to access DLR here. We can just say console.log. Let's say we don't know the person that is occupying this position, which is position 2. So for position 2, the index is actually 1. So you can easily access with this. Let's say 1. Then we have DLR printed. Index 1. Don't forget the index starts from 0. So this is 0, this is 1. So the value we have here is DLR, which is why we have DLR printed on the console. Okay, so the same way we are accessing the array elements is the same way we can actually modify or set or reset the value. So I can have, so I can say second array here. If I want to change the value in the second position, I can change it to 10. And let me just log. As you can see, the value we have at the second value in the array, that is index 1, has been changed to Stutan with this statement. Hope you are following. Please let me know if you have any question. Then array properties and methods. So just like we said, array are special kind of objects because they store more than one value, and you can just access them. So instead of accessing with the property name, the way we normally do in objects, here we basically access them with the index, which could be from.
Like you said arrays are a special kind of object.
Yes.
Can you please explain?
Okay, so why they are special kind of objects is because they also have methods that you can call on them. So properties of objects is they have properties and values and also methods on them. Like some methods you can call. Just we were doing dot keys the other time, you get. So for array as well, there are some methods you can call on them. For instance, you can call it dot. You can call sort method on an array. Then you can call some other functions on them, like reverse. You can call reverse on an array as well. So why they call them special is because, so it's not really exactly like an object, you get, but they almost share the same thing. Like they have some properties that are almost similar. For instance, if we want to, if you have an object, like the way we create a car object, if you want to access any element from an object car, what we normally do, we say car dot maybe model or dot manufacture date. So for array as well, you can access the values you have there using that array-like notation. That is, you can say name, or like the example we are using, you can say second array, then you have the bracket, then you put the index in there. You get. So the major difference between an object and an array from the perspective of accessing the property or the values you have inside them, basically that object is making use of the key while array is making use of the index, which is from 0 to n minus 1. Do you understand? Can I proceed?
Yes.
Okay. So array is heterogeneous. That is, array can contain different kind of objects. So the way JavaScript is, you can mix things inside an array. I mean, you can store an object there. You can store in the same array. You can have a boolean. You can have an integer number. You can still have a string there as well. Then array has properties and methods as well. We look at those ones. Okay, so this is part of the properties that array has. That is, for instance, you might want to determine the length of your array. So you can get the length of your array using the length property of an array, which is basically just by using the dot annotation or the dot notation, which is dot length. That will give you the length of the array. So we can, so here, if I want to get the length of second array here, I can say console.log of second array. It's already that's printed the length of the array. That is, we have 3 values in it, which is for last, Tutan, and Sanusi. So that's the function of this length here. Okay, let's proceed because of time. Then adding an element to an array. So array has a method that you can use to add value to it, which is push. So there's a push method. So the way this push works is just like let's say it works like it's just like the way insertion work in stack. I mean in stack, like just add it to the as the last element. That's what it is. So the way you push value to the array, that's the way they get stored. I mean the indexing. So the first one you push into the array will be in the first index. The next one you push will be in the second one, and all and all. But if you already have an array, for instance, this example, we have 3 there already. If I do a push again, this unit will be the 4th value there. It will just be at the last part of the array. So let's add to this second array as well. Second array dot push say $. Let me log it. And it should be saying 4. There, yeah, just like this. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then $, the one we just added, is the one carrying the highest index value. So yeah, the index of $, is actually 3. Then the array length is 4. Okay, let's proceed. Please let me know if you have any question. Okay, then removing elements in an array. So there are 3 different, or there are multiple ways you can use to actually delete an element or value from your array. So we'll be looking at 4 basically, using the pop method, using the shift method, using the splice method, using the filter method. So the pop method, basically, what pop method does it just removes the last value in the array. So you can't specify the actual one that you want to remove using the pop method of the array. So it's pretty simple. Just we normally use our push, but it won't have any parameter in this case. So we'll still be making use of this second array. So the good thing about say pop value, so second array. Yeah. So we've initially, the last time I logged this, which was here, we have 4 values, which is after pushing Bola to the array as well. Then, so we are talking about removing value from an array, and I said we have 4 different ways to remove value from an array. We can use the pop method. So here we are trying to make use of the pop method. So what the pop method does, pop does not give you the ability to specify the actual value that you want to remove. The only opportunity it gives you is you can delete the last value that was added to the array. That's all pop can do. So what pop does, it will remove the value, then it will return the value back to you, which is why you see this variable, I said pop value is equal to second array dot pop. What this does is it removes the last element of the array, then assign it back to this variable. And if we can see, as you can see here, the last value we added was Bola. So it will remove Bola and assign it to this pop value. So here, when I did popped value, I printed pop value here, and then I have Bola here. Then I did console.log second array because we already pop out Bola. That means Bola is out, or we pop out the last element. That means the last element that we added, which was Bola, would have been removed. Then we have 3 elements remaining. So if I should do second array dot pop again, we have 2 values left. As you can see, it has removed Sanusi. Then we are left with Fola and Stutan. So that's that about pop. Nothing much on that. Let's look at the other one. So we have shift method. So shift can be used to remove the first element in an array. So it's doing like the opposite of pop. Pop is removing the last element, then shift is removing the first element. Let's let me just do, okay, so let's do second array dot shift. Then let me log the value back. So dot log. Okay. And so as you can see, after we popped after popping Bola out, we printed the second array here, and at that time we had Fola. So I popped again. Let me just remove this pop. So we left with, so we have Fola, Stutan, and Sanusi. Then here I did secondary array dot shift. And as I explained before, what shift does is basically to remove the first element that you have. It's to assign it to the variable as well, but I just don't want to assign to any variable here. So it's remove that, then we are left with the remaining. You can see Fola is the first element here. That has been popped, or that has been shifted out of the array already. Then we are left with Stutan and Sanusi. So pop and shift, they are basically like more than opposites. So let's proceed. Then we have splice method. So splice method can be used to remove and add elements to an array. The first argument specifies where index to start, adding or removing. So what splice does is it gives you the advantage to be able to remove if you want to remove, or it gives you the advantage, or let me say, and also it gives the advantage to be able to remove and add value to your array at the same time. For instance, you might want to delete, let's say, 3 values, then those 3 values you want to replace with 5 other values. So what it will do is the 3 values you are deleting from the starting index of the 3 values you are deleting, it will, that's the index where it will start adding the values from. Then it means the other values in the array will shift if the need arises. We look at the examples. So the first argument specifies where index to start adding or removing. That is the index where you want to start removing from, or you want to start adding from. While the second argument specifies the number of elements to remove from the array. Maybe you want to remove just 1 value, or 3 value, or 10 values. That's where you put in that. Then the third and subsequent argument specify the elements to add to the array. So if you have any elements you want to add to the array, you specify that in the third argument. But if you don't have any value you want to add to the array, then you don't have to specify anything there. So let's look at example here. Let me just delete this. Let's start from afresh. Okay, so let's say we have a variable. Let's call it my array. Let me call it should we use car? Let's say Toyota. That is, let's say Olamide. Let's just mix anything together. Let's say Bola. Let's say Futa. Anything. Okay. So let me just log this array. So we have the array locked. You can see the 5 different values that was added. So let's assume that you want to delete Bola and Futa. Then you can say my array dot splice. Then it starts number, like the index I want to start deleting from. That's 2. How many do I want to delete? I want to delete 2 values. Then I have to, don't forget this, the indexing starts from 0. So I want to start deleting from Bola. This is 0, 1, 2. That means my index is 2. Then I want to delete 2 values. That is, delete 1 and 2 for me. That's all. So if I say console.log my array, so as you can see, console.log my array, it has removed Bola and Futa for me. Don't forget, the first index is start removing from index 2. This is index 2. Then the second one is the number of elements I want to remove. I want to remove 2 values, then 1, 2. That's the reason why we don't have Bola and Futa in the array anymore. So like I said, the splice can be used to add and also remove. Do you get? So for instance, let's say I want to delete Olamide and add Bola and Futa back. So what I just need to do is just to say my array. I will still make use of the splice method. That splice. Then which index do I want to start from? Don't forget, I want to delete Olamide, right? And bring in Bola and Futa again. So splice 1, because the index of Olamide is 1, comma. How many elements do I want to delete? Just Olamide. So that means the count is 1, comma. Then the elements that I want to add. Then so you just specify the elements as you wish. So I want to add Bola. I want to add Futa. So I can console.log my array. As you can see, in the last time we have Olamide, then this 7th line is saying remove from index 1, start removing from index 1. Then this one means you only want to remove just 1 value. That means you want to remove Olamide and add any other value we specify here to the array, which is why it removed Olamide, then put Bola and Futa. Then the other value here, the index we have to change because it has to shift for Bola and Futa to enter like that. So I can add more than, I can add maybe Unilab as well. So it means these 3, they will follow the way I type it, then this one will just shift for them. Do you understand this? Please let me know if you have any concern. We are running out of time already. We have like 30 minutes more. Okay, so I think we are done with this splice. Okay. Okay, so we have filter method as well. So unlike splice, you know what splice does? Splice work on the array directly itself, but with filter will renew or it return a new array for you instead of manipulating the actual array that you're working on. So working with filter, basically, the only thing you need with filter is just to specify the condition that you want to use to select the elements that you need. For instance, I can have, let's say I have names of the students in the class. and I decide that, oh, I want to only have the names of the students starting with A. So with filter is a good way to do that. But you cannot do that with splice. So if you don't want to use filter, the other way you can do it is basically an iteration. You have to iterate and check for each value if it starts with or any condition you are given to use. That's the only thing you can do to get it. But with filter, you don't have to be writing the for loop or do while or whatever you save anymore. The filter is there for you. The only thing you need to do is just write your function, and that's all. So you return either true or false in the filter method. So let's just go through this. Filter method is used to select some elements needed based on one or two conditions. Filter has a single parameter and a callback method. The callback is triggered as the filter method iterates through the array elements. So when we say callback method, it's just a function. That's what it is. Just a function that you want to call when after maybe when something has met a particular condition or criteria. That's what the callback is about. So it will pass three values to the callback: the current value or elements, the current array index, and the full array. So the callback normally have three parameters, which is the first one is always the current value, that is the current value of the array or the element as the case may be. Then it has the current index, the current array index, that is the indexing, that's the position. For instance, during its iteration, if it's on the second value, that index will be 1. Then the last parameter it has is the full array, that is the array you're actually iterating on. Then the callback filter should return, the callback method rather, should return either true or false. Elements that return true are added to the new filtered array. So what it's saying here basically is the callback function that you're writing, it must return a Boolean value, either true or false. It doesn't care about whatever computation you are doing in the callback function, but it must return either a true value or a false value. That's the time. So if you return it true, what you are saying is that particular element, you want to add it to the elements you want to get. And if you are returning false, it means, oh, you don't need that particular element. So let's just write a sample code on this. Let's use something like Tolani, and let's say Aderibiwe, say Bolanle, say Sanusi. So now let's assume the problem we want to solve here is actually to get the names starting with Ade. Let me add on some value with Ade. So I can just say Ade. Okay. Yeah. So let's try to just solve this simple stuff here. I'm trying to write this. Okay. So I can say, like I said, get the name starting with Ade. But so in this case, we are going to be making use of filter. Using filter is very easy for us. So let's get started. So just say put a variable, then let's name the variable name starting with array. So we're equal to the array. We want to make use of filter here. So array of filter. Then we have our callback function. And don't forget, the filter normally has 3 parameters, and the callback method. This function is actually the callback method I was talking about. So this is the callback function, and it has 3 parameters. The first one represents the index of, the current value. Let's say current value. The second value represents the index, and the third value represents the full array. This full array will always be this my array. So yeah, what we want to pick actually is just name starting with Ade. So this is a function. So what we have to do in this function is write something, write whatever you want to write, and return either true or false. So if you return a true value here, what it means is this current value that is passed to this callback function, you want to return it. That is, it is starting with Ade. But once we return false, it means that name is not starting with Ade. We don't need it. So it's pretty simple. We can just say return, then the current value, there's a current value that starts with, so JavaScript has this method, start with Ade. So I can say return start with Ade. So this starts with, what it basically does is it checks if this particular variable, whatever we have inside this variable, if it is starting with Ade. So if it starts with Ade, so this method basically, calling does starts with, by default, it returns either true or false. So what we are saying here is, if it starts with Ade, return true. If it doesn't start with Ade, it will return false, which is what we actually need. Then let's just say console.log my array. Sorry, name starting with Ade. Then we have Aderibigbe and Adeleke. You get, if I say maybe I don't want the one starting with Ade, but I just put this there, what it means is I don't want, I need the names that are not starting with Ade. That's just it. But we want the one starting with Ade, so this is the way to go. Do you all understand this, please?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right, good. So
Hello?
let me just,
Sorry.
yeah, yes.
Please, can you demonstrate if we are not looking for the names that start with Ade? If you want to use the other, those that.
Yes, I just did that. So I just look at this. I have this symbol there, which is not, you get. So it means if it is not starting with Ade, these are the names I need. Then I have them here. So alternatively, you can decide you want to write your iteration by yourself and get the names. So let me just demonstrate that. Let's say names. So you just instantiate a name. I mean, you instantiate a variable, call it names. Then just iterate and say, I'll say variable I equals 0, I less than my array dot length, then I plus plus, then you say if if my array of I dot starts with a day, then you say names dot push names dot push my array I. Yeah, so dot log names. So as you can see, we have the same value. So this is using iterative way, why this is using the filtering way. So you can see you get the same thing for both. Just that since JavaScript already provides you with the filter method, it's very good to make use of this, and your code will actually be cleaner. If you compare the two together, you can see this one is, I'm still using the indexing and all. This looks like shit, but this is actually very okay. But either ways, anyone that works for you, but I advise you learn to use filter, because let's say you're in an interview, making use of filter shows that this guy really understands better. Unless if they say don't use the filter method, they say you should write it out yourself then, because in the background, basically, the filter method is still making use of the indexing to do the iteration for you. Okay, so that's that about that. Let's move on. So we have so just like the way we are checking if an element exists or something in an object, for JavaScript too, we can, for array, we can check if a variable is an array. So we can either use any of these. We can use array.isArray, or we can use instance of So both are actually very cool. Do we need to, because of time, we don't, let's just skip this part. But it's something, I will share this slide with you so you can just run some of this by yourself, actually. So looking at this example, it's pretty straightforward. You have two variables. The first variable is name, which is Olamide. Second variable is names, which is an array. Then AI.console.log array is array name. Then this is just a string value. Then it's printed false because it is not an array. It identifies an array when you instantiate with the new array method, or you instantiate with the square brackets. That's it. So that's why we have false and true here. Then you can as well use instance of. So just put the variable name here, then you type instance of, then you put array here. Then that will give you if it is actually an array or not. So that's why we have false and true as well for this. How many slides we have more? Okay, we are almost done. Okay. So this is array slicing. So slicing is, don't forget, slicing is different from splicing. Splicing is used when you want to add or remove value in an array. But slicing, what slicing does is to select a part of the array as for you based on the index that you must have provided. As you can see, array slicing is used to select a part of an array into an array. Let's say we have an array, and we say, well, let me say, okay, I think, okay, it's better this way. Let's say you have the list of, you have the names of the students in a class in an array, and let's say the lecturer decides to just pick the first 10, just the way it was, just the way it has been written on, maybe on the sheet, or the way it has been written in the as the way it has been written in the array declaration. So let's say I just need the first 10. I want to store it in another array. So that's what slicing will make it easy for you. What you only need to do is to specify the starting index and specify the final index. So you can use, so slice can take one or two parameters. So if you pass a parameter, what you are saying is it should pick all the elements starting from the index you provide till the last value. If you supply two parameters, it means it should start from the first parameter and end at the index of the second parameter that you provide. That index will be exclusive, actually. Let me explain that. As you can see here, we have 2714914. Then we say first array the slice 2,5. So what we are saying here basically is we are saying we need values starting from index 2 and ending at index 5. But index 5 is not inclusive. So don't forget, array indexing starts from 0. So looking at the 0, 1, 2. So to start from this 2, that's why we have 1. Don't forget, it should stop at the 5th index. But the 5th index should not be included. So that's why we have 1, 4, 9. This is the 5th index, but the 5th index, the value of the 5th index is exclusive. So that's why we have 1, 4, 9. Let me just write a short code to demonstrate just to say very well. Variable sliced array to be equal to my array that slice. Let's see, we have 2, 4. Yeah. So looking at this example, we have 10, 2, 45, 76, 10, 89. What we want to do is we are calling the slice method and say start from index 2 and stop at index 4. Don't forget the value of at index 4 will be exclusive. So here 0, 1, 2 to start from 45, pick 45, pick 76 because 76 is actually index 3. Then 10 is index 4. It is exclusive. That is, it should not be included. That's why we only have 45 and 76. So another way we can say,
okay.
Yeah, continue, ask the question. So let's say we want to pick all the values starting from index 3. We don't need to specify the we don't need to specify the last, we don't need to specify two parameters. We just specify where you want it to start from. So you just pick from there to the end. So we have console.log sliced array 2. So as you can see, it starts from index 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, which is 76. Then it's printed 10 and also 89. So that's how slice works, basically. How many minutes do we have now? 20 minutes. I think we just need to move faster. Okay, so also array gives you the opportunity to be able to sort using its sort method. But mind you, this sorting is actually alphabetical. That is, it only sorts, it takes them as string and just sort like that. Let's look at an example. Okay, you can see the example here. I have Bimbo, Olapile, I have Zainab here. So when I call the sort method on it, you see.
Sorry, please, Adiyama, please, can you mute?
Okay.
Okay, let me proceed now. So we are talking about sorting, and I said the way sorting works in JavaScript, especially dot sort on the array, it sorts the elements of the array alphabetically. What it means is if you have dollar and you have a day will definitely comes before other. You get, so that's in alphabetical order. It sorts alphabetically. So how can you do this? Do this just using calling the dot and the sort method directly on the array. For instance, let's say names is equal to Viola dollar serial Viola. And let me call the sort method on it. So let me see names dot sort. Yeah, as you can see, I log the names after instantiation. We have Biola, Olakule, Adela. Then I call the sort method on the names. Then I log it again. Then I have Adela, Biola, Olakule, which means it has sorted it for me already. Do you get? So you can't really apply this on integer values because we try to see it like alphabets. For instance, if I have 20, I have 3, I have 100. Then if I say values dot sort, I say console dot log values. So before that, let me just log it first. So let's see sorting values. Okay. So let's just focus on, let me delete this part. So as you can see, we have 23 and 100. So if you want to sort this, you should not make a mistake of sorting integer value with the sort method because it doesn't take them as value anymore. It takes them as string. And when you're talking about alphabet, 1 comes before 2. You get. So that's why when I did values.sort and then log it, you can see that 100 is coming before 20. Do you understand? So the reason why 100 is coming before 20 is because alphabetically 1 comes before 2. And also 2 comes before 3. So the 3 that is the least value here is actually at the last edge here, which is wrong. You get. So don't make the mistake of sorting numeric values with this sort method. So there are ways you can sort numeric values, and that can be done. Sorry, please. So there are ways you can sort numeric values in JavaScript. We get into that. I think that should be like maybe the next. Yeah. Okay, so before that, let's just talk about array reversal. So you can actually reverse an array as well. For instance, when you have the array already, you want the first elements to be the last element. You get like reversing everything like that. So you can easily call the reverse method, and you will be fine, just like the way we have it here. As you can see, I have 20, I have 3, I have 100. When I call the reverse method, I'm having 100 first, then followed by 3, then the last value, 20. That's basically how the reverse method works. Okay, so we have numeric sort. So for numeric sort, what you just need to do is to pass in a callback function. So the callback function must actually return a value. So if the value returned by that is less, that means that value should come before the other. That is, if you look at this function I had here, function a comma b. So what it's doing is it's picking those values one after the, like comparing two values together. When it's comparing, the one that is least will come first. So if I have so at the time it's comparing 41 and 76. If I say return a minus b, if it returns a negative value, it means a must come before b. If it returns a positive value, it means b must come before a. That is, my b is less than my a. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's just so let's sort this value. Let me have more values to it. Let's say we have 8, we have 26. Yeah, so we can just do values that sort value function, which is a callback function basically. Then it always takes two parameters. You can call it a comma b, you can call it x comma y, anything you like. Then just return x minus y. So as you can see, it has sorted the values there for us: 3, 8, 20, 26, then 100. Do you understand that? If you want to sort it in descending order, just swap it. Y minus x, then you have it in descending order. Let me know if you have any question, please. Okay, so also let us just talk about this too before we round it up. There are methods that you can as well use to find the minimum and the maximum value in an array. It's just the max.max method and the max.min method, which is just max.min will give you the minimum value in the array. Max.max will give you the maximum value in the array. But you don't just call it straight. You have to call the apply method with it. Then the first parameter must be null. So let's do that. So let's remove this sorting that we have there. So let's go to the minimum value. Value. Yeah, so this, as you can see, the minimum value is 3, maximum value is 100. So this is pretty straightforward. You don't have to do anything much to know the minimum and the maximum value. So if you have to do it by yourself normally, the best thing to do is just sort the value. After sorting the value, if you know you've sorted the value in ascending order, then the first element that is with index 0 will be the list, and the maximum value will be the last element, which will be the one at location n-1. Yeah, so that's that about that. Thank you for listening. So if you have any question or contribution, please let me know. So though there are other methods actually, I mean, that you can still go and read about arrays. The JavaScript keep improving every time. Yeah, just we from like 5, 6, and very soon you see another version. You use another thing. So just keep yourself updated as I said. So any question, please, before we round it up.
Hello.
Yeah.
Please, it's not really actually a question. It's about the
Okay.
slide. It need be made available for
Yeah,
us.
of course. I will send to the organizer. I'll send. Okay. In the absence of no other question, I think I was just supposed to give you some insight on some things. So, any question from anybody?
Mic check.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask, all these array methods, how do I know as in which one to use? No, all of them, I have all of them written in the mental part of my brain. But if I see a question, how do I know the best one to use?
Okay,
What's the best approach here?
Okay, yeah. So the good thing about programming is what I used to tell people is in programming, nobody will actually open your head and just load it with all these things. Yeah, you get. So we learn every day, you understand? And what makes perfection is practice. You get. So the more you familiarize yourself with solving questions, the more you get to quickly know which to use to approach the question. So actually, I would like to advise each and every one of you to familiarize yourself with maybe Akarang or Leet code. Be taking some algorithm questions and be solving them, because doing that will really help you a lot, such that if you see a question, you quickly know the things to apply to it. If it's an array question, the more you practice, the more you get to know more of these methods, and you don't really have to always people. So it's fine. Nobody knows it all. You understand? Everyone, senior engineers, everyone is still like Google at some point in time when you are faced with something you get. So it's just perfection that that can really, I mean, practice can really help you a lot. The more you try to attempt questions, the more you get to know various ways to actually tackle the question. But if you are waiting till the day the question will come, it might take you more time to get it. So just keep on practicing. That's all. So I can recommend Leet code. Leet code, you have to pay on Leet code to really enjoy the package. But Akaran is at least free to an extent. I mean, you can enjoy a lot of
Sorry, please, what do
questions
you
to be
call
solved.
it?
Akaran.
Please, can you type it and send it on the chat? I didn't
Okay,
know.
yeah. Type so just akaran.com. Where's the? I'm trying to get the charts. Where's the chat? I cannot get the chat, but it's pretty simple. Can you see the screen? You can see my screen, just pick it there. HACKER, Aka, the rank.com. I couldn't see where to send the link, probably because I'm presenting. Let me stop sharing this and send a chat. So I just shared it on the chat now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So you can just familiarize yourself with that. Yeah, it's fine. So do you have any question before we And enough for the day. Almost two. Okay, the absence of no question. I think. Okay, so I'm supposed to just give you like an insight on what employers actually look out for. Yeah. So there are different set of employers actually. So, but what I can say is in this um, software development space, what they always like is someone that's actually passionate about it. You get, when you are passionate about the work you are doing, and it's not just about, when you are result oriented, yeah, and they give you task, you try as much as possible to execute within a specified time. If you can do it, if you can deliver the task before the deadline, yeah, that's actually good. Yeah, employers like someone that is passionate about the work. Once they're passionate about the work, other things will come, like other qualities that they can like will come together with it. For instance, they are passionate about your work, definitely you'll be able to take responsibility of whatever you are doing at work. I mean, you don't blame, you don't say, oh, you don't you don't use I for everything. You use we because they like people with team spirit. You have to be able to work as a team, and also you have to be able to listen to correction. Because there are some employees actually, they find it hard to, they always think to like, this is what I know, and that's the way it is. No, nobody knows it all. So you just have to be able to accept constructive criticism, especially when your boss is maybe he has some reviews on your work and maybe you don't like it. So if it is constructive, you don't have to be like defensive. You have to be able to take constructive criticism. You can't always do it perfectly. Yeah, someone will be there that will be able to see the way you can improve or the way you can do better. Yeah, that's just it. Then building a career portfolio, what should it contain? Yeah, I'm a back-end person. So I don't really have like a portfolio per se that can share with you as a sample. But basically, if you're a front-end developer, you can add a website that can that's personal to yourself. The domain name can be your name. Say like Olamide Olayanju at dot something dot com or wherever you get. So links to what you've done before, you can have it in a friendly manner. I mean, you can put pictures, illustrations, and the links to the projects you've worked on. It can take them to your GitHub repository or to the site you built or the web application or the mobile application you built already. And yeah, it should just be explicit enough for someone to really understand what you've done so far in your career. Backend people, basically, someone like me, what do I share? I don't really have an exact portfolio. I'd rather direct it to my LinkedIn or check my GitHub repositories. I see some of my public repositories. Then as to find opportunities, yeah, opportunities are out there, but basically what determines the way you get opportunities is actually dependent on the connection you have. I mean, the people you know, the people you interact with. So it's very good to interact with people. You can meet people online. I mean, for instance, LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn is a great platform for you to get job opportunities. Yeah, it's really, really good. I mean, at least I can say from my own experience, LinkedIn has really been helpful for me. I remember 20, I served 2016. Yeah, when I finished my service in 2016, I wanted to leave where I was working before. Then I was working at Long Beach Technologies, but I wanted to leave. Yeah, because I did my internship there. I did my pre-NYSC time there, then also served with them. So I used like 2 years roughly there. So I wanted to just leave. So, but then I don't have any, you can't just go around and be asking people, oh, are they recruiting here? If the person is not your friend, you can't really ask them. But LinkedIn has, it was really helpful for me in the sense that then I have my profile updated on LinkedIn, and without me applying directly for any, I got 3 job opportunities then on LinkedIn. They all contacted me by themselves. I mean, their HR. In fact, it was really good for me because eventually I picked one which was team activated. Again. Yeah, so opportunities are out there. It's just the people you connect with, yeah, and also your friends too. So if you're a software engineer and you relate more with people that are into fashion, they can't really give you opportunities because they don't know the kind of things you're doing. They will definitely know more of people that are into fashion design as well. You get so move with people that have the same thing in common based on your career. These are the kind of people that can help you. If you can go for what is community what is maybe Andela, this thing, go for any form of things you can go for to learn, to meet people, meet developers, chat, talk very well. You get these are the way you get opportunities because basically in this Nigeria that we have, it's sometimes looking for job can be messy, but I'm telling you, you can easily get from if you have um, people that are into what you are doing as well. It's always very easy. They can easily tell you, oh, and there's this thing, can you join? Or you have like a Slack group that engineers gather to solve things together. You can search for jobs on LinkedIn. You can search for jobs on Stack Overflow. Just as to the Stack Overflow jobs, they are not based in Nigeria here. Okay, but they do relocation too for people as well. So you can search for Google on Google to Google careers pages there, Amazon careers pages there. You get even currently Amazon too, they are even still recruiting for their they are looking for developers right now for their office in UK. So there are a lot of opportunities online. Just connect with the right people and you also search as well. But spending the time you're searching for opportunities, always work on yourself as well. That's the way it works. It's not that when someone wants to give you the opportunity, that's when you say, I've not really practiced, I've not really practiced algorithms very well. Let me go back and start practicing, all those things somehow. So as you are looking for opportunities, you keep on building on yourself. You can have sample projects to do. If you are not working for any company at the moment, you get build stuff, little solutions you can just think of just to make yourself better. That's just it. Making yourself better and connecting to the right people will really help you a lot getting opportunities. Any other questions?
Um, I just quickly on a quick one because I know time is fast spent. First of all, can you please share your GitHub link and also as a backend dev, can you please just tell us like challenges you faced?
Yeah, challenges. We all face challenge one way or the other. Yeah, exactly. So the main thing is to be able to don't let it affect you or affect your mentality in any way. For me, if I'm working on something and it's kind of giving me a headache, I'd rather pause, listen to music, or just stand up from my seat, walk around, or do any other thing just to let that thought out of my mind. Then I can come back to it again, then start seeing things from a different perspective. I want to give you an example of the time when I when I had to go through one of these periods back in yeah, currently at my current workplace, Sparkle, yeah, there was a time we used to have we're trying to do something around transaction processing on card. And when you initiate a transaction from your card, okay, so you authorize, you confirm you add up to the amount, then you authorize the request so that you'll be able to get, so that the customer or the merchant can give you value at the previous. So at that point, we ran through some issues and we couldn't really debug on the code because when you are seeing some errors, but we are not seeing, like you are supposed to receive something, you are not receiving. You get, it's not coming through in your code at all. So that was actually due to like the implementation as well. and also because we couldn't see what was going on at the network level. So it's like party A saying they sent us this. I'm saying no, my application is not receiving what you are sending to me. Then we had to we spent like almost 2 weeks trying to sort that issue. Eventually, we were able to sort it out. We first raised the issue with Wireshark to even know, okay, this request is actually getting to our server. And when we realize it's getting to our server, then I have to now jump back to the code and see how I can even get the root cause of all the issues. Yeah, it was, the good thing about all this is if you're a developer and you feel comfortable where you don't do anything. Basically, you just get to the office and maybe they just give you one small task and just do it in 10 minutes and maybe that's all you do for the day and you are just listening to music. No, you are just killing yourself. And it's really not worth it. You have to be like, don't be idle for nothing. Even at your free time, you should be able to come up with something you can do. You understand? Don't just be idle. Don't just be there sitting down because the more idle you have, the the more it affects you. It affects your career growth. I mean, staying in a company where they don't have anything for you to do, run away from such company. I mean, if what you have to do basically is just be sitting down, like you are not doing anything majorly, or you notice you are not adding value to yourself, it's really not good. Let me give you an example. I know all of us here, we know Andela, right? We all do. Yeah, so last year, December, yeah, no, November, last year, November, I got an offer with Andela and I quit my current job there for Andela, that time. So what prompted me to quit them was because the project I was working on, I've been working on it for over 1 year, and I've been like local champion on the project. I don't like to feel that way. I want to start feeling like you are the local champion in any project you are working on. That means the work is not challenging. You are just disciplining yourself. You are not improving or adding value to yourself. So once I get that sense of feeling at all, I just have to like act on myself and say, no, this is the next thing. But you have to just let your employer know that, oh, we are not really enjoying this work we're doing. You understand? But if nothing can still be done to it, then you yourself should tell yourself, oh, this is not where I want to be. I need to do something more. So for me, transitioning from where I was working before to Andela, I resumed Andela January 6th. Yeah, I remember that day I was really happy joining Andela, that mind that, oh yes, I work with international company. Yeah, like I really want to do that. Listen to it. It's always sweet, the experience, the way you do things in Nigeria, the standard there is not up to the standard there. So everybody wants to like, yes, let's work with national partners and do things better. Joining Andela, it was a different story for me, due to the way Andela is, because I'm a Java guy and that's my core stack. My core stack is Java. JavaScript, I only do JavaScript by the side. It's not something I really love to do. I can write React, I can write React Native, but I don't like doing them. I don't know why. Because the design is actually my issue. I don't like styling, making things like this. It's kind of disturbing for me. So when I joined on the last January, I was hoping, yes, I'll just bounce on projects and, start work on Java projects and all. But unfortunately, it was not the way I thought. The first month, no projects for me. And I used to be this kind of person. I like to be active. Like I like doing, so even if I don't have anything to do at all, I will give myself something to do personally. Then I start doing it. Then I know that's what you can learn. First month, I didn't get any projects to work on. Dandela, like Java projects didn't even come at all. Second month, Java project did not come. I was just going to office. I will take free food, free breakfast, free snacks, free lunch, even if food remain in the afternoon, then you still take it again in the evening. Pack the food. It was really interesting. Play games, just get to work. Now I get to do. Yeah, a lot of guys they will just play games. But the main thing is don't let that one carry you away. So for me, I know why I was there. I was feeling somehow like, how will I be here just doing nothing? So I was saying to myself, let me just chill till March. Then March, no project as well. Then I told myself, guy, this is the time for you to really move. Because unless you just want to kill your career here. And I know I started my career very well. So I can't afford just internationally to mess my career for me. No, I can't do that at all. I can't even give any company that privilege to just disrupt my career. I'd rather leave the company even if I'm not paying me at all. To fast forward since March, I started looking out again. I was like, oh, I have to look out. Yeah, so when I said connection, like it's really, really important. So I got two offer that so I got an offer ending of March with one company. So the way I got that offer was even so someone tweeted online that they are looking for a senior software developer, Java and Node. Then a friend of mine saw it and just shared with me. And she said, oh, Saheed, you might have interest in this. You can just apply. Yes, let me just apply. Then I applied. Then, went for the interview. Yeah, I got the offer letter. It was during the Corona period. Yeah. So, but I couldn't resign at Angela then because it was Corona and they already shut down their office. So I was like, so when I contacted them, they said they will let me know when to resume. But currently, I should not leave Angela yet. I said, okay, it's fine. Then, so another friend of mine saw Sparkle adverts on the Slack group and he shared with me. And I was not even thinking of it because I got that offer. I was like, I don't really need any other offer. I used to let me even play with this offer. It was really a play for me, like because I love attending interviews. That's just me. I love interviews. If I see a company that I know they are doing interesting things and I'm not ready to move, I can do their interview just for for fun's sake, not really fun, but for me to learn or even if they have in the end, something sometimes you think this company their products is not that interesting or you don't feel like you'll be challenged there. But in the process of the interview and when you get to know more about their product, then you can feel attracted to them. So when the friend sent the offer to me, I told him, "Do I have an offer? No. Let me just play with this." Then we scheduled the interview. I did like I think 3 days of the interview. Yeah. When I did the interview, the last stage, it went well. So they said they'll get back to me. So because I was not even putting my mind on it, I didn't even my mind was not even there until like anything is coming from that end. I've already forgot that I did the interview. So after 2 weeks, the HR then called me. Oh, Said, how are you today? Sorry, I should have gotten back to you. And I said, oh yeah, yeah. So my mind, I was like, I can't even take whatever thing they want to like give me. Though I was tired of Angela then, you get, but because I already have an offer with me, my mind, I was like, I'll just chill till Corona is over, then I'll just take that job. Then the HR that reached out to me, that was like, they need me to resume the test in 4 weeks' time. So I was still trying to like tell her, can she wait till after Corona? She said, no, that they're not affected by Corona and no, they work remotely, do this, do that. So that was actually impressive for me because you have the ability to work remotely. That's a good thing for you normally. Then I had no option to just pick it. So I just told her, no problem, just send the offer to me. The offer was very good for me. Then I had no option. I resigned at Mandela because I was not learning, not doing anything. So I was in Mandela for like 4 to 5 months. So in fact, at the time, I remember when I started looking for a job, when I was going for interview, I went for like I think three. No, I went for 2 physical interviews. I got one. The other one, I couldn't agree on price, so I thought to just take it. So I remember during the interview, they asked me, why do you want to leave Andela? Because everybody said Andela, like, yeah, it's a great company. Yeah, very true. It's a great company. But, what we are looking for is different. What individual A is looking for is different from what individual B is looking for. Someone else might be looking for the name. Yeah, you are working in Andela. No, that's not for me. I don't care about the name. I care about the task I'm working on. If it's not challenging to me, then it's not something I can really work with. So they asked me, I remember one man at Zenith Bank, he asked me, he said, so why do you want to leave Angela? I said, I'm not doing anything at Angela. I've been there since January. At that time, I think we're in March or April already. So I told him, this is March or April. I've not really been doing anything. I'm just collecting salary and eating. Nothing. It was like, wow. Then he asked, and they are paying you salary and you're receiving it. I said, yes, of course, I'm receiving it. So, that way, it makes you feel like the more you stay there, the more you are killing your career. It means you don't have focus at all. So don't always stay in any place that is too comfortable for you in terms of developing. Like if you say that you are not developing at all, you are not growing at all, my brother, my sister, please just know it is not good for you. Still be there, but be looking out. Because what matters is if you want to get what these big companies, bank like Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, the experience matters. What you've worked on matters. Nobody cares like you spent 4 years in a company. What they care about is what did you do exactly in the company, not what you even do. It is what you exactly do. So they ask you, how did you participate? You say you worked on projects with the team. Okay, how did you participate? What was your input? Okay, I worked on USSD module. I did this, did that. That's what they want to hear. So anyway you have and you see you are not growing, it is not good for you. Look for alternative. Yeah, I think that's all I can say about that. Any other question?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think in the absence of the question, we can
Can I?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry, I've been on the call for a while, so I don't know if anyone has asked this already.
Okay, you can ask.
If you are looking out for a junior developer, a beginner, an entry-level role, what will you look out for in the candidates? That's
Okay.
the first question.
Okay.
Second question, would you advise a beginner to look out for remote roles, or would you advise a beginner to take an on-site position? Then finally, or the third one, whether or not a beginner decides to look for a remote role or an on-site role. Assuming a beginner decides to go for a remote role, what are the things to look out for in terms of, would I say company culture, would I say pitfalls? And I'm asking this against the backdrop of numerous things that have gone down on Dorsey Boulevard among tech gurus. The most recent of which is barely a week old, where we hear of people who hire devs remotely and they go for beginners because they know beginners are not have not been in the industry for a while, so they don't really know what obtains and stuff like that. So the beginner who is going for a remote job, what would you advise that they look out for?
Okay, yeah. So let's pick it one after the other, please. But I remember the first question is if I'm to access a junior developer, what do I look out for, right?
Yeah, that's the first one.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, if I want to hire a junior developer, I need to say that I'm really passionate about what we're talking about. And also, I will ask you questions, junior level questions actually, you get, and I will even aid you. Then I will give you a peer coding. Peer coding in the sense that we both solve the questions together. I'll be giving you hints and you'll be doing it just to know, okay, you're a junior developer, but at least you should be able to reason to an extent. I give you the verbal solution, you should be able to translate it. You get, but to still be at the range of a beginner/novice level. Did I answer your question? So
Partially, when you say passion,
okay.
the word has been overused time and again. So in your own, would I say assessment, at least for you as an individual, what someone else might mean passion will be different, but you as an individual, what exactly do you know when you say passion?
Okay, yeah, very true, very true, very true. Okay, so the passion I'm talking about is really saying that the language or the job you are trying to apply for, like you really have how will I put it? You really have you really you really focus on it. Like you want to dedicate, if you get that job, you really want to dedicate your time to improve on it. For instance, if someone is passionate about something, you can't tell me you are a junior developer, you are coming for an interview, you should have something to show me. Even if it is just a website or your code or something, you understand, or a sample code, small application, you must have something that you want to show me. You get, because if you say you are a developer and you don't have anything you've tried to build on your own before, then it means you are not really passionate about it. You get, like, you should have something to show me, to show that yes, this guy really has a passion for this thing. You know, there are people that study computer science in school, but they don't have passion for programming at all. They don't even do anything there at all. In school, they just read, get their A, then that's all. But if they're passionate about something, you should be able to show me something with it. It's not until it is something big that everybody is using, but I mean, no matter small, it could be. Maybe you just have 2 repos or 2 projects on GitHub, you get, no matter how small the HTML files or the JavaScript files could be, you should be able to show me like, oh yeah, I did something to do this. Very simple, yeah. That's what I mean by being passionate.
So if I get you well, when you say show me, I should have 1 or 2 things I've built.
Yes.
Maybe things I've put on GitHub and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So in light of having something on GitHub, I want to ask, because recently we were given a task to do. I was trying to do it from scratch and the thing was turning my head in and out. So I decided to push it aside and go for a code along with one of those tutorials online. So does that count?
The tutorial you are going for online, is this something you can still show the person the code, even if it is not on GitHub?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, since you can show or you can prove it, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. In fact, is some people actually, is when they get the job, that's the first time they'll be making use of any version control, either GitHub or Bitbucket or something. You get. So, but just that, you just need to be able to show something, even if everything exists in your system. Yes.
All right.
What's the question? Second question, please.
So the second one, would you advise a beginner to go for a remote role or an on-site role?
Okay, yeah. I can advise a beginner to go for a remote job, actually. I can, though I'm not a fan of remote job. So when I say I'm not a fan of remote job, if a remote job whereby I'm not in that same country where the office is or where the main office is, I cannot advise that. I personally, I'm not a fan of it, but I can still do it as well. So I can advise a beginner to take a remote job. In fact, for beginner, I think taking a remote job will make him we can make him stronger in the sense that, this is a remote job. I'm not seeing anybody to tell me this, to tell me that. What they want to hear, if they are working remotely, is results. That's the main goal. Just give us results. Give you task, you do it. You get. So that will push the person to work more, to convince. And once you are doing a remote job, you always have something in your mind like, this job can be taken anytime from now. Because if you are doing a remote job, you are not seeing the people working there. You don't know what is really going on in the company. You understand? So that's just the risk that is in remote job or in some remote job. I have friends that have done remote job, and that's the fear. That was the fear that pushed them out of it and say, because like I know someone used to be my boss while I was at London. He said he was earning very well on the remote job, but they will just like terminate after some period. Just say you won't get the valid reason you get. But I mean, remote is not bad for a beginner at all. It's not bad at all. Organized remote is good for a beginner. Yeah, where they have code reviews, you get where someone is reviewing your code, because that's the best way for the junior developer to actually grow. If there's no one reviewing the junior developer's code, to be hard to really get better on time, to take the person time. But if there's someone always checking the beginner's code, it will help the person. So if the remote job has someone that is reviewing code, yeah, it is very, very okay. Very more beginner. So anyone is fine for the beginner. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Oh,
I can go to the
yeah. So the final one, what pitfalls should a beginner look out for in remote
the pitfall that a
jobs?
beginner should look out for. Like I just explained, one of the things one of the pitfalls a beginner can look out for is this maybe so if you are taking a remote job, don't just take it anyhow. So the first thing you can do is you can check online about if you can see anything online about the company, how secure the job is for people that are actually working there. You get, is it a good environment to work? That thing is really, really, really necessary. If you get any offer, either it is still in the same vicinity that you have, try to know what the culture is there. You get, by asking people. You can just go to LinkedIn, check the company's profile, just message one or two people in the company and ask, like, oh, what's the job really about? What kind of things we do? How's the culture like? What's the culture like? And all. You understand? So the pitfall you can look at is actually having a bad boss, yeah, or having a bad manager, or the company culture itself. So during the interview process, you can ask for the company culture, though they won't say everything. They can only tell when you ask them culture, they can tell you, oh yes, yeah, you can come in with anything you like. I mean, okay, so for remote job now, they just work from nobody cares. So you can ask them about how reviews are done. You get any other benefit aside the normal salary they pay. You can ask for those. But the ones that you can't really say until you get there is how will your boss be? Or maybe what your boss looks like, his behavior. Maybe it's a good one, a bad one. Sometimes developers can fall into someone, a junior developer can fall into someone's hands that can frustrate the person. For instance, I have a friend that got a job a month ago, almost 2 months now. So but unfortunately, so when he got the job, it was like they put him immediately on project and it's been like, oh, you have to, so they have like a project. In fact, when you showed him the project, they told him you have a project. They have projects for him. They said it will take 3 days. When I look at the project, I laughed and I told him, these people, they are jokers. You cannot complete this thing in 1 week. It's not possible. And I'm speaking till now, they are still working on this thing. You get, so you definitely need some people that will give you unrealistic timelines as a junior developer. Some will do it intentionally, some will do it unintentionally, thinking, oh, this guy can do this, whereas they don't know the person can do this. So it's two ways. You can fall under a good boss or a bad boss. If you fall under a bad boss, first thing you can do is try as much as possible to manage whatever thing is trying to push into your way. If you cannot manage or if you cannot cope again, exit, look for another job. There will always be a better offer somewhere compared to what you are working on or compared to the current one you have. Again. So you can always expect that you might have a bad manager, not really a bad manager, or a manager that might not really understand you very well, that could just be bombarding you with a lot of things that are more than what you can really do, or a manager that might not really understand that you are actually a beginner. So it's normal if you take a job as a beginner and you are feeling that you don't know anything per se, it's normal. You don't have to bother yourself too much. With time, you get to understand everything better. That's just it. It happened to me before. It happened to me before. When I joined the company, I was like, honestly, the first day I joined the company, in my mind, I was like, don't sack me at the end of the month like this. Because when day I joined, I was told I'll be going to site the next day. And when I say site, I mean going to our project site. So because then we used to work for banks, not really working for banks, but we have products that we are delivering for banks. So we do some integration, then we deploy in the environment. So like, imagine assuming on Monday and Tuesday, you've been taken to site already. No one has actually told you about how the source code looks like, and we have lots of repositories that you need to pull the maybe dependencies that we have in house that we push to Akaiba and all. Then it was crazy for me, and I felt, honestly, I felt, won't I be sacked by the end of the month? But I just believe that if you are doing your best, then there's nothing you have to worry about. So if anybody should say, oh, you're doing bad at my work, yeah, it's fine, I will go, but I know I will get a better offer. That's not the end of everything. Okay. So but one thing you have to be doing as a junior developer is always try to ask questions when you don't understand. Don't assume. That thing is wrong. Don't ever assume. No matter how silly the question might be to the person you're asking, always ask. Don't ever assume that, oh, let me assume, and that you don't assume. You don't understand, just ask. No matter how stupid it might be. Even if the person laughs, don't worry. You don't have to worry. You're helping yourself, not the person. So it's normal. So when you just get into that kind of environment, just try to control yourself and try to do better. So for me, what I did then was my weekend. I spent the whole of my weekend looking at all the source code to ensure I understand what each and everything is doing. Anyone I have question, I will ask some of the guys that are already there. And if you don't, because there are some cases, so there are a lot of things that will happen when you just join a company. There are some people, when you are talking to them, they won't reply you on time, or they feel like you are wasting their time. It's normal. Probably they are busy too, or they just feel like, come on, you should know this thing. But that doesn't mean you should not ask questions. Ask your own question first. If they cannot give you answer to it, they cannot give you any answer, then you just try to do whatever you can do. That's just it. Nobody knows it all.
Yeah, thank you. I get you.
Do you have any other question? If someone asked, will you advise for junior devs to be money conscious when receiving offers or what? Actually, there's no lie around that. Everybody works for, or people tends to take offer because of money. Yeah, you can take offer because of money. You need money. You have to subscribe, pay for, you have family, you need to buy this, buy the latest clothes, buy the latest cars if you can afford it. Yeah. So it's good to be money conscious. Yeah. Money is key. Money is key. Money is key. Yeah. But it's not always about money. It's also about what you feel you are going to gain in the project, actually. Okay. It's not everything is not always about so there are some times that that money that you don't really want to request for, they will give it to you. Let me give you an instance that happened to me 2018. No, sorry, 2019. That was last year when I was tired of what I was working on. I wanted them to move me on another project, and because of some things that were supposed to be handled by the company that was not handled, I decided to look out. So I looked out, I got another offer. When I was looking at it was not about money for me. Everything that was about was I just get an offer that is not less than what I currently earn. And I know that all the benefits I'm looking for are there. And I know I'm working a difference in entirely. That was the only thing I had in mind. Then I resigned. When I resigned, my manager was like, oh, I should have told him before resigning. I said, I'm not resigning. Then the next question that the person in charge of our unit asked me was, who is offering you so amount? Let us offer you this. I was like, nobody offered me anything. And funny enough, the amount he mentioned, nobody was offering me that amount. So he thought I was leaving because of money or something. Nothing. It's no money. I'm still going for almost the same offer that I'm getting here. Because I just want to leave. Then he said, so he did not believe me. Then he told me, you know what? You will raise your pay. I didn't say anything. I told him. Then after I told him, it's not about raising my pay. I have some concerns. Can they be treated? He said they will look into it. You understand? It was so after that they increased my pay. I didn't request for the pay. You get. So they request the and I thought of some things. I didn't wait or I didn't decide to stay because my pay was increased. No. But because they said they would look into my concern. And that was all. That's why I had to stay. Fast forward to November. the conditions we're supposed to, the concerns we're supposed to look at, we didn't look at them at all. Then a recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn. I met SWD, Angela. Then we talked, then I got Angela offer. Then I resigned. When I resigned again, they asked, what can we do? I said, nothing you can do in this case. When I received the Angela offer, it was actually the same. Like when I compared it to, they're actually the same. But for me, I was not about money because they asked me, should we increase your pay? Everything is not about money. For me, then, if I say they should increase my money, they will increase it and they will make me and I will stay. But it wasn't about money for me. So there are some cases where it's not just about money. You just have to like forget money, especially when you feel like the environment is not really okay for you again, or maybe you're having issue with your manager, or you feel someone is frustrating you, because your happiness is key actually. So you have to work on that too. If it's not making you happy, it's not really worth it. So then for me, I left. Even though they wanted to raise my pay, I left. This year, I've still gotten, like, I've seen a role saying, oh, they're looking for this. I got to pay so amount. The amount was huge, more than my salary, but it's something I can apply for. And I'm very confident that I will get it, but because the product I'm working on, I love it. And I don't want to leave that at all. Right now, at least push forward. So it's not always good to just be going from one company to another. Like I know guys that they do 6 months here, leave 6 months here, leave 6 months here. No, it's not really good actually. It's not really good. Any company, but that's why it's good. Like you just you ask questions around about the company before you join, so that you can spend meaningful time with the company, and you don't have to be looking for work immediately you join them again. It is somehow it's not really good, because some employers will definitely ask you. They say, Mr. Farouk, why are you jumping from one company to another? Maybe you have that thing, like even if you join them as well, you just leave them again, maybe after 2 months or 3 months. So it's not really good to be jumping here and there. Whatever is not making you happy, just leave the company. Then when they ask you, why did you leave this company at this time, then you tell them, you let them know that, oh, I left because of this, because of that. So money should not always be the thing that will be hindering you. But it is part of it. It is part of it. Yeah. Any other question?
Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. My question is, how do you deal with a difficult boss or a boss that is frustrating per se?
Please, you are skipping. Like I can barely hear you. Can you type your message on the chat? Can you type the question
Hello?
on the chat? Can you type the question on the chat? I can barely hear you.
Okay, let me type.
All right. Yeah, you can type. Sorry. Badmus, I will see you again. I wish to, but not very soon. Okay, how do you deal with a difficult boss? How do you deal with a difficult boss? Well, having a difficult boss is really, really hard to manage. You get, because definitely at a point you get frustrated and you can just say what you don't really want to say. But sometimes what it takes is you just talk to the person too. Let the person realize, oh, I don't like this. Like for me, I remember when I first joined in Maps 2018, I was being managed by someone, by a manager. On that time I was doing something for Wema Bank then. So we finished the project around me. I joined January, we finished the project around me. Then I had to go back to the office for another project with First Bank. So the new manager they assigned to me then, I remember vividly, the first day we went to First Bank to get the APIs that we need to integrate with. After getting those APIs, we went back to the office. Then the new manager started micromanaging me, and I was not even convenient. So we just come again after 5 minutes. Every like someone coming to meet every 5 minutes to say alpha. God, I was really frustrated at it. So I has been doing it. I was just keeping quiet, but at the time I couldn't hold it again. I just screamed and said, "Why are you disturbing me? You can't be micromanaging me. There is somebody else has managed me before, and I don't have this kind of issue with the person. Can you just stop doing this?" And so he get back at me, shouted. I thought I would even get sprayed that day, or they even sack me. So I didn't really care that time. Like, how will somebody just be micromanaging me and asking me questions here and there? So we shouted at each other. Everyone. Then we left. When I got home that day, then I now thought of it. Did I really need to shout at him? I said I really don't see any reason for shouting. I know I did what was bad, but it prompted me. Yeah. So I just called him. And when I called him, I said, "I'm sorry for what I did during the day, but I was really, really frustrated with you micromanaging me, and I don't like it at all." I told him I've worked with our, his other colleague, and we don't have any issue like this before. If you have anything you want me to do, just tell me, ask me when I will deliver it, and I will tell you when I will deliver it. That's all. We don't have any issue. If I cannot deliver, I will let you know. I cannot deliver this. Get, believe me, after that time, we are very, in fact, till now, even though I've left the company, till now, we still communicate very, very well, and we get to understand each other better. So sometimes if you have a difficult boss, it's very good if you just like try to talk to him and let him see the reason, or just so you address the issue based on the reason why he has been so why he has been acting anyhow to you. You get, for instance, if your boss is acting on you because you are not delivering something at a particular time, if the reason is because maybe you are a junior developer, you can just walk up to him and say, "You say, I'm a junior developer. I don't really get people to help me around here. That's why some of this task is actually I deliver some of these things when after the timeline or something." You get, just talk to the person. But if you can see that, oh, this person is not even trying to reason with you at all, if you can report the person to his superior, if the person is not the overboss, then report the person to his superior. You get, but don't paint it like a bad person. You paint it in such a way that the person is not understanding you very well. That's why he was thinking maybe you've been faffing with the work and all. You get, so that's the best way to approach. But if you notice that even after reporting the person, there's still no improvement and it is giving you concern, you are not happy with what you are doing, just start looking out. Or you can leave the job instantly. Leave it as well. I hope I answered the question.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, you answered my question. Thank you. Though I
Right.
think there are different ways to deal with this. It depends on the person because what you said might work for some other people and it may not work for some other person.
So people are different. I said it earlier, people are different. So it depends on, and the kind of issue you're having with the person is it definitely be different. So you have to come from a perspective, from that issue's perspective, that's where you have to approach it from. My issue was micromanaging issue, which I don't like. Then we talk it out. If there's any other issue, maybe the person is maybe harassing you sexually or something, you get, you handle that one in a different way. You report to the superior. If nothing is being done on it, then you rather quit as well. So there are different ways to approach this based on the issue.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Do you have any other question? Okay, someone asked, why did you
No,
put,
I don't.
okay, someone said, why did you put your keys in quotation marks? Okay, so I guess the person should have an answer to this already. Bantale Opayemi.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Can we also use delete.car.model? No, you can't use .car.model. No, because no, you can't do directly. Yeah, we did. Yes, you can do delete car.model, of course. Yeah, you can. You can do that, but not the way you write it. Yeah, sure. It will be delete space then car.model. Yeah. Then can we have every weekend? Unfortunately, I can't be here every weekend. Sorry. Yeah, thank you all for listening. I hope we see some other time again. Or we have to talk again some other time. I wish you all the very best in your career.
Thank you very much, Saeed, for coming in today. We really enjoyed this session. I'm sure I really enjoyed the session. I'm sure every other person did enjoy the session. Thank you so much. We appreciate that you were able to share your knowledge with us. And yes, thank you very much. Yes, I'm sure everybody did enjoy the session. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
everybody, can we say thank you to Saeed for coming in?
Thank you.
Thank
We are very
you.
grateful. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Try. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
welcome.
much. It was very
You.
interesting.
The pleasure is
I'm
mine. Thanks.
practical.
It's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you very much, Saeed. Enjoy your
Please
weekend.
come again. Oh.
Yeah, you too. I will try.
Please try to come again. Please try. Please try.
All right, no problem. Bye bye.
This what's your Twitter handle?
Saheed Yusuf. Just search for Yusuf Saheed. You see me. Once you see Sparkle, yeah, Sparkle. You see underline the profile. Yeah, that's.
Thank you very much, Saeed. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Yes, bye.
Sorry, is our demo session COD?
Yes. So what's the time? Yes. So you joined by 3 p.m. So I already informed the tutor. I already informed the Rafael that the guest session is still holding. So you guys can join in by 3 p.m. I'll tell him that everybody's going to join in by 3 p.m. So you just have time to take a break and drink water.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody.